John 18:36, Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight, that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now is my kingdom not from hence."
Verse 14, "But if ye will not hearken unto me, and will not do all these commandments, and if ye shall despise my statutes, or if your soul abhor my..."
So it says that if you despise the commandments of God. Now it's about to get in and show what happens if you despise the commandments of God. Because if you love the commandments of God, you will obey and do them. Sister, how you doing? Sister, brother, come play. You got time with God? Come out there for a little bit. All right, 1 second. Okay. So again, if you love the commandments of the Lord, you will obey and do them and follow them. Right? Keep reading.
"So that ye will not do all my commandments, but that ye break my covenant. But that ye break my covenants. I also will do this unto you. I will even appoint over you terrors and consumption."
So it said, Lord said, I will appoint terror over you. And when you look at how our people live, we live in terror. Look what happened to our forefathers. Look what happened to the Native Americans in the Trail of Tears. Look what happened to them. Look what happened to all those lynchings that happened to our people. Look what the so-called white man did when we was enslaved. Right? How they would lynch us, not only lynch us, but sometimes they would even use our hairs and pluck the hairs out our head and stuff them in chairs just to sit on. Right? Not only that, they would boil some of our people's skin, right? Perform all kind of experiments on the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Our people was living in terror. Right? Why? Because we was disobedient to the commandments that the Most High God has given to us as a nation.
"And the burning and ague that shall consume the eyes and cause sorrow of the heart."
Right, it says, and cause sorrow of the heart. When we look at a different testimonies from different people that had stories of forefathers living in the Trail of Tears, right, or walking in the Trail of Tears, right, they was living in sorrow. Right, keep on.
And ye shall sow seed in vain, for your enemies shall eat it. And I will set your face against you. I will set my face against you. Ye shall be slain before your enemies.
Right, you shall be slain for your enemies. How you doing?
I'm well. I just saw you.
Oh, you just saw?
See what you guys had going on over here.
Oh, you had any questions?
No, I have no clue what you guys are up to. I just, I'm just curious.
All right, so you said you're just curious. Okay. So this is what we out here to do, is to preach the gospel to our people and let them know who they are according to the Bible. So the so-called blacks and Native Americans will actually be God's chosen people, right? And the reason how we know this is we go through the scriptures and we see the different curses in Deuteronomy and how our people align up with these curses. That's how we know who we are according to the Bible, right? So what would you say your race is, or your identity, the nation that you come from?
Caucasian is the only way I can.
Okay, Caucasian. Okay, I understand it. Well, yeah, that's our message that we're sitting here telling our people, because right now we fall under banner, right? Yeah. So these are the different names that these nations give us. You know, African American, right? Black, Jamaican, Haitian, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Latino, right? We fall under these different banners, but those names was given to us by oppression, right? Now, so this is how we know this again. So let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 15. Right, Deuteronomy 28 and 15.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15. "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee."
So the Bible said that, boom, that the Israelites, because if they transgressed, the Lord said that they would be cursed, right? So that's how we know, again, that we will be the God's chosen people, because there are different curses in the Bible, Lord say, what happened to them that align with us as a race and nation. For instance, I'm going to give verse 16.
Verse 16, cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
So when you look at the dynamic of the so-called black man in America today in 2025, you will see that most of the places that they occupy would be the hoods, the ghettos, and the slums, right? When we look at it, like, for instance, the South, this part of Atlanta right now. This is one of the poorest parts of Atlanta, and you see a lot of so-called black people here, dwelling here, right? Now, you do have some here and there. They might be living in mansions, but a lot of them suffer from poverty, right? A lot of them suffer from poverty, right? And that's how we know, once again, that we align with this, right? And not only that, it said, cursed shalt thou be in the field. So we look at that. We look at what happened to our people during the time of slavery. We was picking cotton, right? It wasn't an easy task. You know, they had a lot of cotton has thorns on them, so they had their fingers would get pricked. Bloody fingers. They had to work from sun up to sundown. Not only that, they was getting whipped, lynched, right? Then, and sometimes if the master was upset, they would get unalived at different kind of rapid rates. You then, not only, right, you gotta think about what they would do to the women. They would take advantage of their women, essay them, right? I'm not gonna say that, but you know, essay. You know what I mean when I say essay, right?
I don't know what I mean.
I'm not gonna say the word, but you know what I mean. Well, when you know what I mean, go to verse 32.
Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people,
right?
And thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long.
So it says also that thy sons and thy daughters will be given unto another people. And thy eyes will look and fail for them all the day long. So when you look at the auction blocks that our people was put on during the time of slavery, right? Our children were given to other people. And there's nothing that we could do about it. Did that not happen?
Yeah, definitely.
That definitely happened, right? Yeah. So we know emphatically, like, dang, we have to be those people, because that did happen. Not only did it happen to the blacks, but it happened to the Native Americans, and it happened to the Hispanics as well, right? Because if you go into different history articles, it even says this, right? That the Native Americans, they was enslaved in different parts of Georgia, right? In Florida as well, right? Not only that, but they was also put on boats, taken to different places, such as Europe, right? Taken to different places such as South America, right? That is emphatically true, right? So that's how we know that they align as well with that prophecy. Because see, this is a prophecy that Moses said would happen to the Israelites if they were to obey the commandment. Disobey the commandments of God. And we see that the Lord prophesied it would happen, and it actually took place, right? So I'm gonna go to verse 47. Matter 46.
Verse 46. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
So now when we look at this very verse here, it says these curses shall be a sign or a signet. And when we think about a sign, right? A sign is something that you associate with something else, right? Yeah. Right? So now with that being said, that's how we know who the Israelites are, because they would have these signs to associate who they are, or will relate to them as a people or as a nation, right? It says, and this is the key part, it said, upon thy seed forever. So that means that these curses will still be upon the Israelites in 2025. So if a person or a nation would say, hey, we are the Israelites, they would have to fit these curses, because the Bible said it would happen. You understand? It said it would happen. It didn't say it might happen. It said it would happen. Questions?
What's the road to redemption?
What's the road to redemption? So the road to redemption would be them to return back to the law, statutes, and commandment. Give me the book of 1 Kings chapter 8 and verse 46. So the road to redemption for these people is they have to return back to their Lord and Savior. And one of the things they got to do is they got to stop living like the rest of the nations.
Deuteronomy 30:1.
Go Deuteronomy 31. Yeah, come on, that's good. Deuteronomy 31. We can't live like the rest of the nations on this sign right here, right? So here you see who the Israelites are, right? And you see all these nations. We can't live like the rest of these nations, right? Because the rest of these nations don't live according to law, statutes, commandments that the Most High has given, right? They do things that's contrary. When you look how America is set up, America is not set up according to the law, statutes, commandments that the Most High gave to his people. It's actually contrary to the Bible itself in entirety.
Definitely.
Definitely, right? Definitely. Glad you understand that, right?
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse.
Right, so it says, when all these things shall come upon thee, the blessing and the curse. So that's how we know who the Israelites are, because they would be under those curses that we talked about. Right? Keep going.
Which I set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind.
Meaning, you're going to call these things into mind, what Lord say would happen, as in the blessing, as in the curse. So now in 2025, we're calling these things to mind, because now we remember. Now we know. Now we talking about how we the poorest in society. Now we talking about how the Lord put us in slavery by the transportation of ships. Now we're talking about these things. We're calling these things to mind. Keep going.
Among all the nations, whether the Lord thy God hath driven thee.
Right, because the Lord driven us amongst all the nations. That's why you see us here in America. We're in Central America. We're in South America. We're on different parts in the world. You got some of them in Russia, some of them in different parts of China. We're scattered all over the world. But now in 2025, God's people are waking up in these last days and remembering who they are. Keep going.
And shall return to the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day.
So now we're getting to the road of redemption. So now they have to return to the Lord, and they have to obey. That's the big key part. They have to obey and do what the Lord commanded them to do in the Bible, which would be the law, statutes, commandments. Okay?
Thou and thy children with all thine heart and with all thy soul. That then the Lord,
That then it starts with us obeying now. It starts repenting now, changing now, and living according to the law, statutes, commandments now. And then after that, then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity, and have compassion upon thee. So then will the Lord change and have compassion upon us, right?
And will return and gather thee from all the nations.
So at that point, because this is going into our redemption, he's going to come and gather us from all the nations of the world, right? Not just in America, but all the nations of the world where he have scattered us for our disobedience. He's going to gather us again out of our obedience. You get what I'm saying?
Like the rapture?
Not so. So the rapture is not biblical. You know, it's not biblical.
I'm not a biblical person.
Okay.
I don't know anything.
Okay.
Like I said, I was just curious.
Okay.
Come talk to you guys.
Okay. Keep going.
Whether the Lord thy God hath scattered thee, and if any of thine be driven out unto the outermost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. Right. And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed.
Right. So again, no matter how far they are, no matter where they at, the Lord is going to bring them in. Now go to verse 7.
Verse 7. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon the enemies.
So hold on now. When it comes to our redemption now, we get the redemption, we come back, we return, we seek him, right? We be obedient, and then he gathers us from all the nations of the world. Now, when that happens, then he said this very important thing as well. Read that again.
And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemy, and on them that hate thee.
Right. So then he said he's going to put these curses upon our enemies, and these people all would be the enemies of the Israelites. All.
Is that how you feel?
That's what the Bible says.
I'm just asking if that's how you feel.
Yeah, that's what the Bible. It's not even about what I say, how I feel. This is what the Bible say, right? Because when we go into this, right, I'm glad you said that, because these people, according to the book of Psalms, chapter 83, we're going to get that, they have taken a crafty counsel. So if somebody has they're being crafty against you, that's not a friend. That's more so an action of a foe. That's what an enemy does, take crafty counsel. So let's go to Psalms 83. I'm going to show you how these people align with being enemies to the Israelites. Bring that up.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not silent, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
So they make a tumult, they make a noise, they have lifted up their head. When someone lifts up their head, they're prideful. A lot of these nations deal with pride, right? A lot of them do. Let's keep going.
They have taken crafty counsel.
They have what?
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consult against thy hidden one.
So it says these people have taken crafty counsel against the Lord's people, and then it says, keep reading.
Against thy hidden one.
And the hidden ones would be the Israelites. Let's keep going.
They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation.
So hold on. These people said, let's come and cut them off from being a nation. Again, the action of saying you want to cut somebody off from being a nation, that's an act of an enemy. That's not an act of friendship. That's not an act of love, right? That's an act of hatred. To say you want to cut somebody off from being a nation, that's an act of hatred. Would you agree? Is that love? Is that friendship?
That statement is not friendship.
That's not friendship, right? Right, let's go. Keep on.
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
So they said, you know what? We want to cut these people off from being a nation to where the name of Israel is in no more remembrance. So now when you fast forward in 2025, that's why we call ourselves black. That's why we call ourselves African Americans. That's why we say we Benjamin, Haitian, Dominican, and so forth and so forth. That's them cutting us off from being a nation and stripping us from our name. Because we came here, right? The so-called, even when it came to the names we had, the very names we had, right? The so-called white man would beat that out of us and give us whatever name he wanted, right? That's why you have some black men with the last name Williamson, son of William. Did that not happen, right? You seen Roots?
No, but I've done a little bit of research on some of this.
Well, you should have seen the part when they was beating them, beat them and say, your name ain't Coots no more. It's Toby. It's Toby. And that's what they did. That's actually the real thing they did to our people. They beat our language out of us. They said, we don't understand what y'all speaking. Speak English. And that's where you had us speaking English. And so forth, right? So let's keep going.
So what's the mission? I mean, is it just to, are you here to raise awareness about this this religious scripture, or is there another mission that?
Hold on, because
I'm 2 minutes, and then I got to get food. I didn't plan this.
Okay. But one thing you said interpretation, right? The scripture are not in private interpretation, but I understand why you make that standpoint, because you said you don't even deal with the Bible anyway.
I don't deal with the Bible.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not of a private interpretation, though. It says what it says.
So if you had a mission statement,
what you guys
are trying to do here today, what's that mission statement? Okay,
now we're gonna get in that. So our mission statement would be to, let's go to Isaiah 61:1. Right, our mission statement is to come to the lost people and let them know who they are, because they don't know who they are. Right, our people, they're lost from their heritage. Right, they've been stripped from their heritage. They think rap culture is our culture. That's not our culture. That's not who we are as a nation of people. That's that's how we live in America. But we have to live separate.
So what would you say you identify? Do you have a belief?
No, I don't have a belief.
So you don't deem yourself
like
religious?
Hearing everyone else's beliefs, and interjecting them together to just kind of. I'm always open to hearing, something like this and saying, maybe I can take one piece of this, take it in my heart. Maybe I'm not going to like something you're going to say, and I just discard it, and I just live my life like that.
Right, so you don't have a higher power you pray to or study or nothing?
Not a specific higher power, but I do believe I believe there is a higher power, but I wouldn't say that I specifically identify with anyone that's any higher power that's been written in a book like that.
All right, so now let me ask you this: where does your forefathers descend from? Besides the Americas, where does your ancestry trace back to?
So that's a tough question for me, because I'm an adopted individual, so I don't have any trace of my specific family. But from what I can tell from ancestry, it goes back to Europe. And that's it.
All right, so real quick.
Before that, Pangea.
I got you. So get Luke 14:23 real quick. So this is the whole mission right here, right? So we doing something. I know when you say you don't, it's hard to believe something that comes from a book like this. But this book is really not for everybody anyway. So I would agree with you and support you when you say you don't really too much care for it anyway, because it's like, if it's not for me, like, you know what I'm saying, when you think about the social studies book, right? Yeah. The social studies book that we were taught in America, right, in history class, that history is not really for the blacks in America or the Hispanics in America, because it's not talking about nothing successful that we have done, but it talks about the history and the success of who? America.
And I totally, that is so spot on with the way I see the world.
Right.
When I read a book that, you know, is talking about things that happened hundreds of years ago,
right, I'm
going to be equally as skeptical about my social studies book
right,
as I'm going to be about this book and any other book, but I'm going to listen and learn and decide what makes sense to me.
All right, so this is what we out here for right here. Read it.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 14, verse 23. And the Lord said unto the servant, Go out unto the highways and hedges, and compel them to come in, that my house may be filled.
So he said we are sent to go out into the highways and the hedges and to compel God's people, which will be the Israelites, to come in and come back to the way they are as a people, right? But when you read this book right here, right, it'll be hard for this, it'll be hard for you to understand this book, because this book is not written for you, right? When the Bible is only the word biblios, which means a history of books. But I'm gonna come back and let him explain it, but I just want to end it with this. So the message that will be presented in this book is not for you, because it's records of the people of Israel, for the people of Israel, to the people of Israel. But there are prophecies in here that fit your forefathers, that describe what's coming to your forefathers and all the other nations as well. So what we come out here to do is to take the book in the history book that describes the condition of these people, to help them find their identity. Because when you look in America, you would agree with me that the blacks and the Hispanics have an identity crisis here, right? Right or wrong?
I suppose that's.
So I suppose I know you saw.
I wouldn't have worded it that way, but I mean I get the message.
Identity crisis. This is the identity crisis.
Everything you said was really, really well said. You know, in that statement that you just made.
Right.
So talking about your mission statement.
Right, and that's what we are here for. So I'm gonna give it back to the brother, but I just wanted to know, because I see you dressed up with your suit on, and I didn't know if you was a Rosicrucian, a Jewish man, or
I'm not Jewish.
Seventh-day Adventist.
I actually might be a little Jewish. Apparently, according to ancestry, I might be, but I wasn't raised that way.
Oh, okay, all right. That's all I want.
Like I said, being you guys' perspective, and I didn't plan to do this, so I'm running, but I love what you guys are doing. Keep preaching your message. You guys are killing it. So, all right. But nice to meet you guys. All right.
Okay. All right. Now. Anyways, but
The Servants.